to another video, and today we are going to be taking a look at this Dr. Ian Malcolm and Velociraptor set. First, let's look at the packaging, which the packaging is about the same as all other Jurassic Dominion figures. But the back is just displaying all the figures that come in it, especially the Locust, Ian Malcolm, and Velociraptor, and the two other sets, the Owen Grady and Parasaurolophus Wrangle set, and the set with Maisie, the Lystrosaurus, and Beta. Let's get this out of the packaging. First, let's get the Velociraptor, because that'll be the easiest. Just gotta snip those two wires. And you got a Velociraptor. Let me get the other ones off camera, because that's going to be very hard to do. Okay, it's much easier than I thought it was. I just had to cut that thing. But here's Ian Malcolm. He has his glasses on. And then inside of here, we also have a electric rod, and of course three probably most hated creatures in Jurassic Dominion, the Locust. Well, let's start taking a look at these. First, let's start with the sculpted Velociraptor. The Velociraptor has detailing basically the same as all the other Velociraptors. This is just a repaint. And it has, so let's just focus on the coloring because it's basically the same as all the other Velociraptors. The coloring is unique because it's more of just a green Velociraptor, and it has a tan jaw, a little bit of brownish, dark, deep kind of mucky brown on all from the eye all the way down to the end of the tail, which is nice. And it has a little bit of orange right there. Mouth opens. Articulation points would be, just showed you the mouth opening. The neck can turn. The arms can move forward and backwards, and the legs can move forward and backwards, along with the tail articulation, which is not very useful, but you can turn that if you want to. And then let me get the scan code up for you guys to get this guy in the Jurassic Facts app if you want it. So here's the scan code if you want to scan this creature into your Jurassic Facts app. Okay, let's move on. Next, let's take a look at the Ian Malcolm in the stun rod, which let's put this in his hand for the showing off. But he's similar to other figures where he has the hands that can hold things, and his articulation points would be at his knee and at the right here. And I believe the waist turns. Yeah, the waist turns like all other human figures, along with the arms move around here and right here at the shoulder. And I believe his head actually does not seem to have articulation, or it has barely any, mainly because the jacket is eliminating it, which it has a jacket on, which I believe the jacket is not removable unless you were to like probably take it by cutting it off, but I don't think I will be ever doing that. But he has a nice leathery kind of looking jacket, and then probably some jeans on, with some sort of black shirt on, and a belt. Although if we look at his face, it looks kind of like Ian Malcolm. They actually, surprisingly, the glasses are actually like clear glasses. They are above his eyes, actually. That's his white hair, well, his gray hair and gray beard. And yeah, there's Ian Malcolm. And then the stun rod actually has articulation point right here. The top swivels, well, comes off in general, but it swivels because it can come off. And it's a nice blue kind of electric-y color than this, which honestly, I think this is for the Locust, which we will show next. I actually kind of like these really small figures, like the compies, but here are the Locusts. The Locusts are clear, and they're this color, and they have green. You can't really see the texture really well on camera, but they have their legs, their antenna up here, their wings all along here, and then you can kind of see on the bottom side the abdomen and their other parts. All the Locusts, I believe, are the same sculpts. Yeah, they're not in different positions like the compies, but that's okay. The Locusts are really small. I believe that the stun rod might be for you can put the Locust in here because they just have the same sculpt. They could have made it red for it could be like fire, or even made the Locust, casted it in like a red colored whatever plastic, for it could be red like they're on fire, like in that scene in Jurassic Dominion when Ian Malcolm stabbed the Locust and then on a stick and then gave it to the Giganotosaurus. But anyways, let's do the size comparison next. So let me just move all these figures, kind of line them up. And the first size comparison we will be doing is another Velociraptor and some other humans. Because compared to Chris Pratt, I think Ian Malcolm might be slightly taller than Chris Pratt. I mean, Owen Grady. Confuse those guys all the time. But they're very similar in height, but I think he might be just a slight bit taller. And then compared to Claire, might be also a slight bit taller than him. But the Velociraptors are about the same size because they're both the same dinosaur. Next, let's compare it to some other small figures, like the Lystrosaurus, which technically is not a mainline figure, but I treat it as if it is, because Lystosauruses were very small in Jurassic Dominion, unlike the actual figure. But they're about a little bit taller than Locust, come to like the ankle of Ian Malcolm, and are like the size of the foot of the Velociraptor. Next, we have the OG's Compies, and the Compies are also a little bit bigger than the Locust. And they come up about to the ankle of Ian Malcolm again, and about the size of the foot of the Velociraptor. Which these guys are basically just another small casted creature, just like the Compies were, just made of a little bit more flexible rubber, because they're smaller. And the Compies are still pretty flexible, but this is not a review on them. Next, let's compare it to the Giganotosaurus, which was also in Dominion. We can kind of recreate that scene when Ian Malcolm fed it to the Giganotosaurus. Except this one was on fire. But anyways, the Velociraptor is about the size of the Giganotosaurus, but the Locusts are about the size of its toenails, which is very small and sad. But then Ian Malcolm is about up to its finger, so basically up to its knee. And then another figure I would like to compare to, even though he never really came across this dinosaur, is the Therizinosaurus, which the Locusts are about the size of its toe again. Ian Malcolm comes up to, actually it's about the lower part of its thigh, and the Velociraptor comes up to about its elbow/knee, which is a pretty good height for compared to Therizinosaurus. Next, we should compare it to the absolutely enormous Dreadnoughtus, which compared to the Dreadnoughtus, the Velociraptor comes up to about its ankle. Ian Malcolm also comes up to about a little bit higher than its ankle. And the Locusts are again just the size of it, like about half the size of its toenail. This thing, we can also kind of recreate that scene in the prologue when the Locust was kind of on its lower part of its leg, kind of sticking to the lower part of its leg, kind of climbing up it, which I hate when bugs do that. But we'll kind of recreate that when I get some sticky putty. If we stick it to the bottom of one of these Locusts, just like so. Stick it to the leg of the Dreadnoughtus, just like so. There you go, you got a little Locust on top of Dreadnoughtus' leg. Also, if Dreadnoughtus really wanted to, it could probably eat one of these bugs with how big this thing's head is. Let's see if I can get it down in the frame. This thing is absolutely huge. Okay, there you go. But if it wanted to, it could 100% eat one of these little locusts in one bite. Completely gone. And Ian Malcolm is about the size of its head, so you can just bend his knees like so. And slap him on top. This is what should have happened in Jurassic Dominion. This should have been Jurassic Dominion. Right there, perfect movie. Just cut with the Dreadnoughtus. Okay, now for my final thoughts on this set. I do recommend it. If you see it in stores, I recommend picking it up, especially for the Locust. The Locusts are a pretty good addition. The Velociraptor is an okay coloring. And if for nothing else, you get it for Ian Malcolm. And it also comes with a cool stun rod. So, yeah. And since I recommend it, I guess it gets a 10 out of 10. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hello there.
I'd like to let you guys know that, well, let me show you. We've got merch. So, please buy some merch.